Welcome everybody out to Game of the Month number 25, where we are talking about the one, the only Kirby Super Star. It's not the one and only because it also came out on DS as Superstar Ultra, I guess. Regardless. Joining me today, the one and only SMWiz, and that is the true one and only right there. So welcome everybody out. Good to have you all join us for this month's Game of the Month discussion number 25. All right, Wiz, thank you so much for joining me as usual. Really appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
All right, so this month we decided on Kirby Superstar. I've never played this game. I've actually only played about 2 Kirby games in my life. Played like Kirby Dreamland 1 on Game Boy, never beat it. And then Star Allies on Switch, played that one with Mod Wife and did beat that one. So there's my Kirby history in a nutshell. So this is my first time playing Kirby Superstar for Game of the Month, and enjoyable time.
That's funny. So, when we got a Super Nintendo, it came bundled with Mario All Stars, and so then we started to rent things. And this was one of the first games we tried out. We had never played a Kirby game before, had never heard of it. It was just, you're at the rental store and it looks interesting. Loved it. Got it enough times that our parents bought a copy because in the long term it was going to be cheaper than renting it every week. And so, we played this game like crazy growing up. And so like yeah, this here is my childhood copy. This is the box and game for it. Unless my siblings ask, in which case I bought this recently. And they have no claim to it. It's mine. But yeah, this was my introduction to Kirby. And so like this is where, what got me interested in looking for other games and trying other media with Kirby in it.
Yeah, this one was pretty interesting. I mean, it's really funny to me how like Kirby started out on the Game Boy, if memory serves, and so there really wasn't a whole lot to Kirby games. It was you fly around and you like suck in enemies and objects and spit them out. Like there wasn't the copy abilities and all that until the Kirby's Adventure on NES, if I believe. And then that's just been the go-to staple of the franchise ever since. Like there's really not much that seems to change. Again, I'm not the biggest Kirby fan, so I mean I know that each game has its own unique thing for it. Like Kirby Forgotten Land has the XL transformations or XL swallow things now, but so hopping into Superstar, it's just very misleading about. I shouldn't say misleading. It says 8 games on the cover, and so it's like 8
Uh-huh.
separate games. It's like this all could have been worked together into just one single long form thing. So it doesn't feel like 8 separate games to me. Like I was expecting it to be more of a mini game marathon, not just like short little Kirby campaigns for most of it. So it was very interesting diving into it with that expectation of mini games and then just getting a traditional like shorthand Kirby game. But it was enjoyable, so I had a lot of fun with it. Managed to beat all of them, unlock everything. Not 100% completion, but able to experience all of the different 8 games.
Yeah, the Great Cave Offensive will really make you work for that 100%.
Yeah, I'm not
But
going there. Not
I
doing
mean,
that.
in that, like, it's interesting you bring it up because I don't know that I would argue it'd be one game. I think you could make it two, perhaps, because was it Spring Breeze, Dynablade, Great Cave Offensive, and that one's kind of asterisk. Revenge of Meta Knight and Milky Way Wishes all kind of play like our new traditional Kirby. But then, things like the Gourmet Race and the Megaton Punch and stuff, those are mini games, and it would be weird to like slap those into the middle of these other traditional Kirby games, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. That's what
But
I mean though.
I mean,
Like,
it's interesting too
yeah.
because like especially because two of those games have like tutorials at the start, which is kind of funny because even if you tell it, no, I know what I'm doing, it launches in the tutorial anyways. So it's like, well, that was just disrespectful to ask me.
Yeah, that has bugged me quite a bit cuz I've been working on the retro achievements for the Kirby Superstar. And so it's like, do you know how to use the copy ability? Yes. And then it proceeds to tell me how to use the copy
Like, all
ability.
right,
It's like,
let's tell you how.
just, I,
It's
I
like
know. I know how to do
there's
that. Stop.
This was just like Pokemon. Let me teach you how to catch a Pokemon.
I've
And
already caught.
yeah, especially like if you're in Gen 3, you're like, I have 6 Pokemon. Come here, kid, I'm gonna show you how. It's like,
Let me show you
what are we
how.
doing right now?
It's it's definitely disrespectful, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, it must just be a bug or something,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But going back to what you were saying, like there are the mini games slapped in, but you can still have those as like an in between segment or something like. Especially the gourmet race, like you can literally have that be like the leading up into the final boss fight of King DDD, and it
Yeah.
would fit. Like you can find a way to make it all
And
fit very
Gourmet
well
Race,
together.
like that would be the one that I think is arguably easiest to fit in. But things like the Samurai or like the Megaton Punch, like that would be a lot weirder to just throw into the middle of the game.
No, they're just unlockable mini games for after you complete the main game. Like those can stay as they are, just like that.
Yeah.
Unlockable mini games, cool stuff.
But I mean, and for the most part, like I think Spring Breeze and Dynablade pretty much feel like one game. You know, they're just two separate narratives. It's like it could have been Act One and Act Two. But when you get to like the Great Cave Offensive, and now you have collectibles and you have like RPG points that you get, you know? Or what about when you start, doing, like Final Fantasy type screen fights and things like, you know, that does not feel traditional Kirby. And I know I say
No,
traditional Kirby
no, it
when
doesn't.
there weren't a ton of games at that point, but how very out of series it is.
Yeah. The one where you have to stop the sun and moon from fighting, I forgot the name of it. That one would be weird to fit in as well. But
Is that the Milky Way Wishes?
yeah, but you
Yeah.
get Spring Breeze, Dynablade, and then Revenge of Meta Knight,
Revenge of Meta
where it
Knight, yeah.
features Dynablade coming in to help you. Like all
Yep.
three of those
Yeah,
feel
those feel
just
like a
like the
cohesive
same game.
story.
Yeah, they just feel like the continuation of the same game.
Mhm.
So battling semantics on what the box says about 8 different games, like so super serious. Like, oh man, how dare they? Oh well. Regardless, so this is Kirby, and if you've played a Kirby game post Kirby's Adventures on NES, you know what to expect. You run, you jump, you fly, you suck people in, you spit them out, you suck them in, and press down to transform into them. Everything that you would expect out of a Kirby game is really present here. And game has a really good number of power-ups. It's like I can't even keep track of how many power ups this game had. Like there was just so
There's a
many, and
ton.
then you get the special power ups from the bosses, like the cooking one, the hammer from the monkey guy, and
Bonk,
yeah, I'm not gonna know any other names, so you just get to
bonkers, bonkers.
bonkers. There you go. I don't know their names, so I get to offend all the Kirby fans. Yes, um, and like you're just never lacking for a different style to try if you want to. And then some of the retro achievements had you beat those games without using any power ups whatsoever. So that was really fun to try out. And
Oh, some of those mini
I
boss fights be rough.
I really liked how I threw away a couple of those on the last section just because I pressed A instead of B to jump.
Oh
Because
no.
A creates a helper.
Yep.
And yeah, it messed up. So it wasn't good. I had to redo a couple things. So but yeah, I haven't gone back and done Dynablade and the Revenge of Meta Knight yet, with no powers or helpers, but did Spring Breeze and it was really good up until like the third level. Then it gets a little like, oh crap. And then King DDD is not too difficult, so that wasn't so bad. This third level was definitely the much harder of the bunch, doing it that way.
That was the cloud level, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, I haven't ever gone through and tried to do these, challenge ones like, beating it without a power up. You know, Generally when I'm doing that it's because I messed up and got the power up knocked out of me. Uh or, playing as kids and you spit out your abilities so that your sibling can be a player and then they immediately get themselves KO'd and you're like, well, thanks, you know? Did you do any of this multiplayer? Did you play through with Mod Wife or any of your family?
I did not. I didn't realize this game was multiplayer. That's pretty cool. That's an
When
entire
you when
section that I didn't realize existed.
Yeah, I think I could be wrong. Spring Breeze might not be, which would be kind of weird. I vaguely remember that. I could be very wrong. Chat will let me know or comments below. But the other ones, like when you play Dyna Blade or Great Cave Offensive or whatever, when you pop out the NPC helper, if you have somebody on controller two, press a button, they'll take over control as player two. Which is also funny because when you're playing with two people, what they can also do is pop out without you releasing the power. So they can just steal your power and then you're regular Kirby. And that happened more than once as kids.
I can imagine some very trolling moments, and it just makes me
Hmm.
so happy.
Yep. But that's all right, because then you get your revenge too, because with your helper, like you can spit out a second power into your helper and it transforms them. So when player two is being really obnoxious, you just go and get a really bad power and then throw it into them. It's like you don't get to be a cool guy anymore. Now you get to be this lame guy. That's what you get for being so trolly and uppity with me.
You get a parasol.
Yep. It's like, oh, you thought you were gonna have bombs? Nope, parasol. Because I had bombs, you took it away from me.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Um,
So
but
yeah, give it a try.
yeah,
Like two player on this is really fun.
yeah, I'll need to. That
And
sounds
and
good.
obviously having a human player is a lot better than the computer ally logic.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, it actually wasn't too bad. Like, it gets you through the game without you having to do a lot of legwork. Like, you give them the boomerang or sword, and like they just go to town. Like, I was actually really impressed by
Oh yeah.
how competent it actually was, all things considered.
They're
Like, it was
super
good.
great at fighting. They're not so great at maneuvering obstacles. Spikes, firewalls, they will like run up and try to give it a hug.
Thankfully, there's not as much of that in this game, though. Like, it's
Yeah.
a fairly easy game, all things considered. It's mostly enemies in most of them. Like, uh, I don't remember if it was Dynablade or Revenge of Meta Knight where it was a lot more hazardous, but like
Yeah.
it just didn't seem like that big of a problem as I went through it for stage hazards.
Yeah, for the most part that's not too bad. I'm probably just hyper focusing on the annoying things. Like I went to all this trouble of getting a really good power up for a companion and then they started running into the flame wall.
I like that when they're dying, you could throw the new power up on them as well to transform, like you said, but it gives them new life as well. So like that's really
Yep.
fun. Like I had the guy as a sword and I was a sword, and he died and we were almost done. I was like, you know what? Here, have my sword. Just go kill him while I just chill back here and like keep mashing A where I'm doing that like side double attack thing that brings your helper back to you if you don't want them.
Yep.
And I just let it go and kill the boss. I don't remember which boss it was, but it was just really funny. It's like, here, go back. You finish him off. I don't want to deal with this. This is I am above this. Go, my minion. So I like the helper system. I'm not gonna lie. I like the helper system. Knowing that it can make the game co-op is a lot more intriguing. But even as a single solo playthrough, like it was fun. It's fun to mess with, and the combinations you could get out of it's really fun too. So all out attack with swords is my typical go-to, but like it's fun to just mash bombs while they're being your frontline defense as well. So I like the level of strategy it can provide. Like it's just a ton of fun.
Yeah, sword is a fantastic power up. I'm a big fan of the bombs. And I also like the ice power, but mostly as a companion because having the snowman with the overly dramatic grumpy eyebrows is hilarious. Especially when he starts walking and he's like shuffling and like quick looking back and forth. It's just fantastic. Like he's looking for a fight. He's mad and he's going to take it out on someone.
It's my spirit animal.
He's looking for an excuse.
So back to basic.
Those are probably my top three power ups right there. We hadn't
Okay,
got
cool.
into that, but I'm like sword, bomb, ice. Those are probably my favorites.
Yeah, sword, bomb, and I really enjoyed the wheel one in this game. Like
Wheel
you
is a
get to
lot of
go
fun.
super fast.
Hmm.
Jet, I wanted to like Jet, but it kind of confused me more than anything. I never felt like I could do Jet right.
Hmm.
Um, so that one bummed me out a bit.
So that's another fun thing. So did you ever make your companion the wheel?
Yes, and then you ride on them.
Yeah, like a motorcycle.
Oh yeah, it's good
Yeah, that
stuff.
was a lot of
It's
fun.
good
Which
times.
again leads to trolley moments when you're doing two-player.
Oh, I bet. Oh man. Um, but I'm trying to think of more things about the gameplay to really speak about because it's Kirby. It's
Um,
not super deep.
I think what's interesting is like trying out all the different power-ups because you mentioned like there are a lot of different powers and like you can have some that are favorites, but like there are certain scenarios where like some things are better than others, and it might be dependent upon the level or dependent upon the type of enemies you're fighting or the boss you're fighting. And so like there's still an incentive to play around and try things out. And you get some slightly different moves, being able to do like up and down stabs with the sword. Oh, this tangent, but behind you, the shmup mode. I love that, and they've included it in other Kirby games since. Love getting a random shmup in the middle of the game. That should have been a mini game mode, but
Yeah, it really should have been.
it would have been fantastic. But we were saying, oh, the moves. So yeah, little things, getting the fireball and being able to do the flame dash, turning into a stone and sliding down inclines, It's like little things. It's, not like really deep, tech, but it does add some good variety. Because yeah, if you are just trying to play as Kirby without a power up, I could see that getting a little tedious quickly.
Gotta have a little shout out to the fact that you could transform into Mario and Samus with the stone power up as
With the
well.
stone. Yep.
So just a little Nintendo tie-in there for fans. But I think the game is exceptionally well polished, all things
Hmm.
considered. It works really well. Does what you want it to. Well, of course, it does what you want it to. But it just it's just fun to play it. It's not difficult. It's Kirby. Kirby's not meant to be difficult, but um, again, I can't
And
really think of what else to really say about the gameplay itself because it is Kirby. If you've played Kirby at all, like you know exactly what you're getting into, and it's just a good time. Like short levels, boss fights. Uh, I like that most of it had like a mid boss fight and an end boss fight,
yep.
and then the cutscenes that would happen during Revenge of Meta Knight, where they're talking about how the ship's getting destroyed as you go through it, is really fantastic.
Fantastic, hilarious
Just
stuff.
great writing. Like it's a lot of fun, and also the
The
fact
Final
that Kirby
Fantasy
goes on
style
these
battles.
murderous rampages over food will never cease to
Well,
amaze.
so yeah, here's the thing too. I knew we were going to talk about that at some point because we've talked about like Mario lore, we've talked about Legend of Zelda lore. Kirby lore is the funniest thing in the Nintendo universe because every Kirby game starts the same. Okay, either he's hungry and someone's taking his food, or there's some cute little animal that needs help and he's setting out to help it. Every Kirby game starts one of those two ways and ends with him like punching through a planet or fighting an eldritch god and destroying them. So it's like, this cute, adorable little pink puff who is just secretly terrifying and probably the strongest character in the entire Nintendo universe. Mario's not punching planets in half, you know?
Who would win, Kirby or Goku?
You know, are we talking eating contest or like a physical fight?
Oh, both now, absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm like, I think Kirby's gonna win eating contest. And then the fight, I don't know. Like I said, if Kirby fighting Eldritch horrors, at the very least, he's gonna suck Goku up and steal an ability from him, whether that's the Kamehameha or the Spirit Bomb or something. Who knows?
Not to mention power level. Who knows how that would transition? It's good stuff. Kirby would just swallow Superman and like keep him in there indefinitely. So, but yeah. with the way that they keep altering Kirby throughout the years, it's like I would definitely have to go with Kirby on both eating and
Mhm.
physical. Like you just you just can't beat the black hole abyss of soul
Yeah,
sucking pink puffage. Just you just can't. And I love that Kirby became a main focus of the Smash Brothers games too, just because of the creator.
of Sakurai. Yeah,
And
I mean,
so,
you can't even blame him, right?
no, you
It's
can't.
like
You
you
can't.
create a character, you're fond of the character, now you get handed a series where you get to do crossovers.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna make my character the strongest. It's like,
yeah,
you know what? I'm a little annoyed, but respect. I'd probably do it too.
yeah. And so, I mean, what was it? Did the campaign mode in Ultimate have a name? I don't think it did.
World of
Just the
Light.
campaign mode. Like Kirby's the sole survivor of like
Yeah,
the universe
World of
destroying
Light.
incident.
Which some of those people they did dirty, like Snake just going in a box or whatever. I'm like, okay, it's kind of funny, but also, come on, he's got better tactics than that.
But anyway, back to Kirby Superstar.
Yeah, Kirby.
So, gameplay wise, really not much to talk about outside of what we've done for the last 20 minutes. It's Kirby, hooray. But graphically, this was a very pretty game for Super Nintendo. Very great
Oh yeah,
sprite work, very fluid animations. Like, it looks really good. Very bright and colorful backgrounds. Like, it's just fun to look at. It's fun to play. There's a lot of fun animations, like I just said. I'm losing my mind. It's okay. So if you're a fan of pixel art and sprite work, like this one is going to be really good for you to check out. Like there's just it's fantastic to look at.
it graphically holds up like very, very well. It's like you said, a pretty game. Even like, these cutscenes where what is this, mode 7 that's going on behind you? You know, it's like, yeah, that's a little dated, but when you consider that's on a Super Nintendo, it's pretty impressive. It's, amazing what they got out of this game.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like there wasn't a single moment throughout this game where it was like, that doesn't look that great. That doesn't hold up. Like no, all of it is top notch. Even the mini games of the samurai fights and punching through planets, like it looks good. Maybe the Milky Way background doesn't look the greatest, but like that's getting
A little
super
plain, yeah.
nitpicky at that point. like,
Yeah, I mean,
uh,
after everything else they crammed into this, and talking about the animations, the character animations are fantastic. All the different ways that like Kirby runs, squishes, jumps, puffs up, fights, like so many animations for him. But then even the simple things like how funny enemies react to being struck when you don't immediately KO them. And a lot of them just get like shocked faces, like, oh my goodness, what just happened to me? And some of them get scared, and some get sad, and some get angry, and it's a lot of fun. Like there was a lot of care put into it because it would have been easy to just have them flash red and not emote in any way, but they went that extra step and basically gave personalities to even the most basic enemies.
yeah, that's true, and that's part of what makes it a special experience to play through. I think because there is a lot of attention to detail, a lot of care to it, and so every action you're taking feels meaningful. Kind of like when you used to shoot people in the butt in GoldenEye 007 when they didn't know you were there and they'd jump up and grab their butt. Like, these aren't things that you get in modern games anymore. And even in modern pixel art games, you don't see the amount of character in some of them as you see in something that was made back then with actual care. Now, granted, a lot of games back then didn't do this either. So it's just really special when you get one that does. And that's kind of why I want to bring it up because it just helps the experience. And again, this is the first time I've ever played it, and I'm not even a Kirby fan. It's just like this just makes me happy. like it's so cool. And then you combine that with the music and you just got a fun time. And the music in Kirby is also very whimsical. I like the main Kirby theme that you get in Smash Brothers is like the most ingrained I am in Kirby. So like it's fun to hear more Kirby tunes. I like it. Like hats off to it once again. And I mean, you've played this franchise since you were younger, so you probably have a lot more to say about the music.
I mean, except I'm not really an audiophile, but like, I mean, the soundtrack is awesome, and it works, Green Greens where it's all peaceful and calm versus other stages like when you have to escape, Meta Knight's ship as it's going down and it's more tense and, rhythmic and, there's a beat to it, building that suspension tension about needing to get off before it explodes, all or just the sounds, ambient noises of the caves and things. Like it's more just, going towards the thought and care put into, a game made so long ago. It's really impressive.
And I think that's another thing that this game really benefited from as well, is that it's a pretty late era Super Nintendo game. So the copyright page says 95, 96, which probably means it came out in 95 in Japan, 96 here in the States. So like a Super Nintendo game coming out in 1996 is like tail end of the system's life. N64 was coming out just a few months back in September of 96. So like this is one of the last hurrahs of the Super Nintendo, and like it just showcases so many great things that the system could do. Like it's a great near final game release for the system in my mind. Like it just looks so good, controls so good. Like you just I don't know. I haven't played a lot of Super Nintendo stuff lately, so like going back and seeing something this well polished and good, it's like, oh man, I still love what this system could do. It's good
It's an
stuff.
impressive machine.
So I mean, we've been praising Kirby for a bit. I'm trying to think of things I really didn't like about it and really not coming up with anything. I'd say that the cave one is probably my least favorite aspect of the game, but even then it wasn't terrible. It was more tedious, but
Yeah,
like
there's some tedium with the cave, especially if you decide that you want to collect all the treasures. That can be frustrating. Um, some areas that are kind of circular and you're trying to, figure out how do I get through this castle and you're stepping through doors and you're like, I've already been in this room. Now I'm fighting this mini boss again. It's can be a little frustrating, especially maybe for kids, who kind of struggle to space it mentally out and, make their map of I've been here, don't go through there again.
yeah,
Um,
definitely. Uh, the mini games were cool to have as an extra option. I could never punch through the planet. I would get to 198 as my max because I'm off by just the biggest, like, barest pixel on.
yep.
I get two of them perfect and always miss one of them by like a pixel or two. And I was playing on emulation, so it's not unexpected that I couldn't get it 100% perfect, but like I tried. I wanted to see that animation so bad. I had to look it up. I
You
wanted to see what
crashing
it
the
looked
planet.
like. I looked it
Yeah.
up. Like I couldn't. I got like a 198, man. Like I couldn't do it.
Yeah, good times. Yeah, punching through the planet, that was a lot of fun. Uh, yeah, I mean, the gourmet race was just kind of okay for me. Like, I feel like that's one that once you do it, you're like, okay, I'm done. There's not really like a reason to go back to this one.
No,
Uh,
there really isn't another one reason to replay that one. Except there is a retro achievement challenge to beat it in under 2 minutes that I want to try to unlock because I hate myself. I guess. Um, they say
because
if you get the wing
you gotta
power
get
up
that
for the third
100%.
stage, it's not too bad.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, things that it could do better. Like, it's funny because, I say, like, yeah, the Great Cave Offensive feels tedious, but then there's lots of other parts where I'm like, I definitely could have used more of Spring Breeze, more of Dynablade, more Revenge of Meta Knight. Um, I think I got enough of Milky Way Wishes, but those other ones I feel like could have been a little bit longer.
And I'm sure that came down to size constraints on the cart too, since I think this one, I don't even know how big this game is actually. I should look up how big the ROM is. Because, I mean, it's got to be one of the bigger Super Nintendo games with everything they put in it, but I could be very wrong. Um, but I don't know. I kind of liked when I think about it as them being separate chapters of the same game. Then the length isn't so bad. I like
Hmm.
thinking of them as just different levels, and you have the sub levels within the level. The Milky Way one was definitely a bit longer for me, but I it's not bad. Like it's not. I really can't think of things that I would change or like that I dislike about it, other than Great Cave Offensive being far more tedious.
Yeah.
And again, that's just exceptionally nitpicky. So it's a if you like platformers where you can transform into different powers, and not the most in-depth gameplay, like it's not Dark Souls. Like you just want to have a good time, like it does that. It's so friggin' great. Like it's so cool. Oh, I love it. I've been playing way too much like beat your head against the wall things lately. So going through this and doing this, like, oh my gosh, thank you. It's so nice.
It's just a good relax and enjoy type game.
And the fact that it's readily available is also really nice. So, I mean, I have it playing on the TV back here on Nintendo Switch Online. So, if you just have
Hmm.
basic Nintendo Switch Online, you're able to access Superstar. There's even a special mode where it has everything unlocked for you. So, full 100%. So, you can experience everything that has to offer. Jump into the arena mini game and punch the planets. Doesn't work so great on Switch Online. It's got the lag to it, but you can compensate. You can learn it. Uh, and then of course there's the original Super Nintendo version. I believe it was on the Wii Virtual Console, but I mean obviously you can't buy Wii Virtual Console stuff anymore. And then there is an expanded version on DS.
Yep. There's a DS version, and then it was also available Virtual Console through the Wii U.
Very cool.
So,
So a lot of availability to it. It's not a lost gem by any stretch of the imagination, thankfully. But definitely one that I could recommend. You could beat this in like 2 hours easily, a lot less than that. But like you can just sit down, load it up, and enjoy it start to finish, unlock essentially everything very quickly, and just have a nice quick completion and a fun game to work through as you did it. And there's some secrets you can find in different things, like unlocking a power up room in Dynablade. So there's there's fun things to be had, a lot of secrets to be had. Well, not maybe not a lot of secrets, but just it rewards your exploration in different levels, even though they might not be the biggest. So I don't really have anything else really to say about the game other than I just really enjoyed it, and I think people should play it still. Like it holds up, definitely. So
yeah, and
good
I'll
times.
throw in there too. I just realized, where else it was available? The SNES Classic. So if you got that piece of hardware, you can play it on there as well. But yeah, it's a great fun game, and yeah, as like I said, as kids, we just played it a ton. Beat it, replay it, beat it, replay it. So I think it's got good replay value, even as a casual game. There's a lot of fun to be had in it, and different ways to get through different challenges by trying the different power ups. Adding variety to the gameplay, and like you said, the exploration. You know, figuring out how to get into certain nooks and crannies, or how to maintain, like, for example, firepower long enough to get to a fuse to light it, or how to maintain the hammer long enough to get to a stake in the ground that needs to be pounded, things like that. I think are really interesting.
Oh yeah. That's another thing that carried forward to a lot of future Kirby games is having those specific power ups to unlock different areas as well. Like that was a big one in Kirby 64. So um, I've watched Kirby 64 get played through by Mod Wife, and a couple of my kids have been playing through it lately on NSO. And so watching them try to figure out the power up combinations was a lot of fun. I need to have the kids turn this one on. I think they'd get a kick out of this one. They've been
Oh, this one's
massive
great.
Kirby kick lately. So that's why it was really funny when we selected this game and I got the email saying, "Do you enjoy playing Kirby?" It's because they were playing all the different Kirby games. So it's like, "Hey, we see you've been playing Kirby." Like,
Yeah, let's sell you some new Kirby games because, we got a lot of them.
I think we actually own most of the newish Kirby
Yeah,
games.
yeah, I'm like,
Surprisingly, not played any of them, but
are there 3 Kirby games on the Switch?
I know of Star Allies and
Our
Forgotten
Allies?
Lands. That's the only two I know of.
Forgotten Lands, and then they also did a remake of the Wii one, Return to Dreamland.
Oh yeah, that's right.
See,
See,
now I'm sitting here, I'm like, was there a 4th one that I'm forgetting, or is that me just being
did
paranoid because of how many
did they
Kirby games
redo
we have?
Epic Yarn?
They did it on the 3DS. I don't know. I don't remember it coming to the Switch, but I could be wrong.
I don't remember. I remember the 3DS one. Yeah, 3DS had like 4 or 5 Kirby games too.
Yeah, the DS had a bunch as well.
Yeah, like Kirby is not a forgotten franchise by Nintendo by any stretch of the imagination.
Nope.
But yeah, anyway, I really don't have much else to say about this game. It was a fun game of the month. I played through the game a few times to like really get a feel for it. Really, again, enjoyed it and can't recommend it enough for anyone that just wants a quick playthrough.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a lot of fun. Like I said, this is a nostalgic favorite for me. Love this game. I think it was last year I did a crowd control playthrough of it and let, chat wreck me. I think that took about 4 hours because chat is just so very helpful. They love to make the game better. Uh, but
yes.
yeah, it's a blast.
Anyways, Wiz, thank you for joining me this month on Game of the Month discussion for Kirby Superstar. Uh, we need to. No, wait, we came up with an idea for next month, and I think we should do this. Zelda Four Swords in its incarnations across GameCube and GBA and DSi. Since it just came to Switch Online and we could play some GBA version online, I think that is a fantastic suggestion and one that we should look into. So I'm just gonna call it here. We're doing that one.
I was saying, I actually have that DSi version. I was one of the people who got a code for it back in the day.
Yeah, I downloaded it when they brought it back for free for the 25th anniversary, so we got access to that and put it on our two 3DS, and I just added it to the two DSi I got recently. So put a short up on the channel showing it running in 4-player mode. So I'm set there.
Nice.
Anyway, thank you all for joining us for Game of the Month. Check out Kirby Superstar. And if you'd like to be a part of these discussions, join us in the chat below, comment section. I can talk. Or join us in Discord because everyone knows we need some more chat interaction there. Come share some gaming moments with us and other things for our current Game of the Month discussions and other random nonsense you'd like to talk about. Anyway, we'll see you all back next month for Legend of Zelda Four Swords. And looking forward to it. Later, everybody.